Microphone test. Someone give me a 5x5 if you hear this, please. I stole your topic? Thank you, Anti-Trekker. I'd say that I will have a unique perspective on the issue, and you can bring your own unique perspective. Qapla, everyone, and welcome to BedLife for Monday, January 6, 2020. Qapla, yes. Anti-Trekker already accusing me of stealing a topic before the stream even really starts. What a jerk. What a jerk. Yosef says he's ready for some bed action. Oh, Yosef, I hope your wife is home. 47 Yorktown says, hello, sir. Welcome, 47 Yorktown. Hector says, hola, pajaracos. Welcome, hola. Welcome, hola. Welcome, Hector. Mark Andy says, hi. Not Ryan Johnson says, hello. And Qapla. Sci-Fi Nation says, greetings, Berto Prey, Mamo Prey, Sassio Prey, and fellow nerds. Thank you all. Hector says, my lawyer says no. Is it okay to not follow unjust laws? Hector's lawyer says no, but who knows what that means in English. Anti-Trigger says, you stole my topic, jerk. Yosef is watching the stream legally. Josh reads is down with Frank and Freddy haters. I agree. Anti-Trigger gave me the 5x5. Thank you. Sci-Fi Nation says it's your duty as a citizen to question legally and morally wrong laws. And I would argue it might be your duty as a citizen to disobey unjust laws. It might be. Now, you have to be absolutely positively sure they're unjust. And if you don't want to spend your life in jail, you've got to be able to convince 12 people in a jury box, in a jury, that the law is unjust. And you're going to have to do so even though the judge is going to tell the jury that unjust laws don't matter. They're still supposed to vote guilty even if they disagree with the law. But that's bullshit, because the entire point we have a jury system is for jury nullification. But lawyers and judges hate the term jury nullification. They get scared, they panic. They try to tell the jurors, no, you're not allowed to do jury nullification. It's bullshit. You're allowed to do jury nullification. It's the whole point of having a jury system. Okay? When I was on jury duty, they tried to tell us, even if you disagree with the law, that's the law. You're supposed to follow your oath to uphold it. No! My oath is to this country. My oath is to what's just. Okay? If the law is bullshit, then it's my oath to uphold what I think is right. And if what I think is right is that somebody shouldn't be arrested or put away in jail because they downloaded a movie that they couldn't otherwise purchase, or they downloaded a movie because they were physically unable to get to a movie theater, and big Hollywood studios just ignore thousands and thousands of disabled people, even though it's within their technical powers to broadcast that movie into their homes on a secure channel and pay, let them pay to watch the movie, but they don't even give these people the options to see movies. They're just like, well, screw you, you can watch it in 6 months when it comes out on DVD, maybe. No. So you have these rights, and jury nullification is a right. People should be exercising it a lot more than they do. A lot more than they do. And yes, even in Karoga there are juries. Just to be clear. Josh Street says no sound. See, Josh Street just lies. Josh Street just lies. Mark Andy says bird heading to Virginia from a resistor militia. Wow, okay, go for it, Mark Andy. Because there's going to be about to be a lot of unjust laws in Virginia. Sci-Fi Nation says you're 25 bird, which I know means 5 by 5, as 47 Yorktown confirms. Mike Richards says greetings from Columbus, Ohio. Greetings, Mike Richards. Joseph says greetings from the Veliki Yolny, Slovakia. Welcome, Joseph. Thank you. Life with Matthew says Qapla, Birdo, pray 5 and all. Qapla, Life with Matthew. Not Ryan Judd says, and no Frank and Freddie stickers on the laptop. Absolutely not. There'll be a Frank Sinatra sticker. In fact, there is one. You can see it, but no Freddie. No Freddie stickers on the laptop. And we got my USS Enterprise no bloody A, B, C, or D shirt on today. Anti-Trigger says the Frank and Freddie stickers are facing Bird, not us. Because he likes to look at them. Nonsense. Not Ryan Johnson is lolling at Anti-Tracker. It was funny. Trek95 says, greetings, Bird of Prey. Greetings, Trek95. Thanks to Trek95, I started watching the despecialized edition of A New Hope yesterday. And I gotta say, it was a lot better than I remember. Remember the last time watching A New Hope, which was probably the Blu-ray. So I'm thinking possibly, but I don't know how many people have it, is that as Star Trek Saturday, we just finished Nemesis. Maybe we switch to Star Wars Saturday for 3 weeks, and we watched original Star Wars before we start the JJ Star Treks. I'm not sure. You guys if you have an opinion on the matter, type it in. Give it to me. I'll see what people say. But I was thinking. But then the other thing is, I don't know how many people have access to the despecialized edition to watch it. Since I can't, I can't show it, the whole movie, as the specialized edition. I would only show, screenshots every 10 seconds or so. Dan23 says, hi, welcome, Dan. Life with Matthew says, I think Rosa Parks would have some words on the subject. I do think that the key is peaceful disobedience. Well, some laws you can peacefully disobey. Some laws you cannot peacefully disobey. They won't let you. Right? They won't let you. If you can peacefully disobey the law, that's certainly better. You'll have an easier time, perhaps. But there are just some things that you can't peacefully disobey. Not Ryan Judson says all Kurogan laws must be disobeyed. That is false. Anti-Trigger says Life with Matthew agreed. Aberjam says McClunky, Aberjam. Actor says he is a Frank sticker. My money is a Freddy, being a previous sticker behind that one. Not Ryan Judson says there is no justice in Kuroga. No, Kuroga is justice. Even Odo was fond of the justice of Kuroga. Life with Matthew asks Aberjam what or who is McClunky. And the Trigger says, I said on my stream, and I maintain that if a law is unjust, then it is in fact a moral imperative to disobey peacefully. What if you can't disobey peacefully? What if the law is shoot all people with green eyes in the head? How do you disobey that one peacefully? If you got to defend green-eyed people from people that are going to shoot at them, you just stand in front of them. Is that disobeying? You just put yourself as a human target because they what if they don't mind shooting through you? What if you have to shoot back at people who want to kill people with green eyes. You can't disobey that law peacefully, can you? Not if you don't want the green-eyed people to die. I mean, you could disobey it peacefully if you don't mind failing. Mark Andy says, back in the day, Mormon juries nullified a lot, as, you know, well, as was their right, to be honest. They were the jury of their peers, and their peers didn't have problems with certain things. Sci-Fi Nation says, my oath is to the Constitution, not corrupt, illegal, and unjust laws. Yes. Mark Andy says, McClunky is a state of mind. Joseph says, like the stream, flock, thank you. Life with Matters is bird of prey, so is this discussion purely hypothetical, or is there a specific case you might be thinking of? Well, you know, earlier today on Anti-Trekker's stream, people started talking about copyright laws and all types of different things. And I just said, well, why don't we keep the discussion going? It wasn't going to be the only thing I was going to talk about today, because there's other stuff. But yeah, we could talk about some things. I've broken the law when I felt it was unjust. I'm trying to remember the details, but yeah, no details unless it's beyond the statute of limitations. But yeah, it's happened. I've also broken the law, as I've said, when I've had no other choice, and the needs of the many outweighed the needs of the few, or the one. Like the needs of my college engineering project outweighed the needs of Home Depot, who refused to sell me something even though it was there and I wanted to buy it. Yes. Huh? Yeah, I was just saying we had another issue today, which I'm gonna rant about it a little bit. Andy Trigger says, I said on my show, I just read that. I read that. Funky is a state of mind, like the stream. Mark Dandy says, I said bird was, not me. Your English teacher bemoans your reading comprehension. I said bird was, not me. Back in the day, Mormon juries nullified a lot. McClunky is a state of mind. I said bird was, not me. What did I miss? I don't see what I missed. Anyway. Actresses like the hypothetical perp from Reno 911. I remember Reno 911. I enjoyed Reno 911. But I don't remember who the hypothetical perp is. Dan23 says, any episode of Big Bang Theory where Penny is hurt, so Sheldon drives her to the hospital and they go through a red light. Later, Sheldon ends up in court. That's right. That's right, with a fine he said was justified because she was injured. And you know what? I think he was right. Surf Trictronics says it's okay to steal a display switch from a Home Depot for an engineering class. It wasn't a display switch. It was a plastic cover to a thermostat. It was a thermostat safe where you have a plastic cover. Like if you rent an apartment and you don't want the person renting to be able to change the thermostat, you put this box around the thermostat so they can see what it's set at, and it's got little slits in it so the air still goes in. So if it warms up or cools down, the thermostat still knows the temperature in the room, but it's not big enough to stick your fingers in there to move the thermostat. Of course, you could just use a wire coat hanger or something and move whatever the hell you wanted to. So it's really just a complete waste of time and money for everybody, but I needed it. They wouldn't sell it to me. I bought something else to offset the cost. Surfer Trying says, I just read that. Editor says, I disagree with you, Bird of Prey, about the movie thing. It's not fair, and the studio should set up a system for you. But I do not believe you are harmed by having to wait 3 to 6 months to see a movie. Well, Anti-Trekker, I am in the YouTube business, and I need to do reviews of movies to stay relevant, right? So are they not harming my ability to make money and to grow my channel? If I can't see a movie when it comes out and I have to wait 3 to 6 months to see it before I can do an initial review, when you and Nerdrotic and Doomcock and 99% of the other people out there can just go to the movie the night it comes out and come back and give your review? Because I can say I am being harmed by that. Is it harmed like somebody's threatening to kill me? No, but it's real. It's an actual loss. It's certainly an annoyance. I got a text message from Thomas Potts, who says he's playing Hitman 2, and he doesn't know how this happened. Honestly, I'm not sure what's going on here. It would seem a guy crashed into a school bus, and he's hanging upside down from a parachute. Okay, Thomas. Good luck. Good luck with Hitman 2. Life with Matthews says, Bird of Prey, are you sure you can handle the JJ tracks? Those going to be harmful to your health. Well, yeah, actually, 2009, I don't hate. And Into Darkness, I also don't hate. Only Beyond do I really have a strong dislike for it. Now, I know a lot of people hate Into Darkness, and I will grant you the movie is probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes longer than it needed to be. But I don't hate it. I really don't. I could live with them. I mean, the thing about the JJ films, even though the plots kind of suck and the writing is subpar at best, they just damn well cast them so well. Especially Kirk, McCoy, and Spock. They are just so well cast, and actually throw Sulu in there too. That they're and Uhura, even though Uhura doesn't act like past Uhura, but still, there's just so much chemistry amongst the crew that I like seeing it. I like watching it, and it makes me feel like, in a slightly different universe, this would have really been what Kirk, McCoy, and Spock, and Uhura, and Sulu, and Chekhov would have sounded like. Now, I don't know why I don't know why they had to write Scotty in to have this alien sidekick that really annoys me, but I enjoy watching them. I do. And it says, by the way, Bird, if you like the despecialized edition, you've got to watch the anti-cheese edit of the prequels. Yes, I've heard. Sci-Fi Nation says, Bird of Prey. As long as it's the true original trilogy, then I welcome a break from Trek for a minute. Well, it would be 3 weeks. It would be a 3-week break. It would be a 3-week break where we went to the original trilogy of Star Wars. Then we would do the JJ trilogy of JJ Trek. And then I would guess we'd go back to Star Wars for the prequel trilogy. And then 6 weeks later, we finally start actually 9 weeks later. We have 3 original trilogy, 3 JJ, 3 prequels. So 9 weeks from now, more or less, then we'll have to figure out what our first non-Star Trek, non-Star Wars movie will be. I almost consider, and it might well be Stargate. it might well be Stargate the movie, and then we'll have to figure out from there. We'll see. Actor says the Raylos are especially crazy. Yeah, in fact, that's one thing I have to rant about in the news. I know I'm a little late. Mark Andy says that only if you had enough lens flare, only if you add enough lens flare to Star Wars. Dan23 has the 2004-2005 version of the Star Wars trilogy. Trick95 says anti-tracker, it's easier to get a hold of the specialized than the anti-cheese. Yes, it was actually very easy. Lightwood Matthew says, which specialized edition are we talking about? I don't know, but it's like version 2.7. 2.7 of the original trilogy. Anti-tracker says, Bird, aside from a violent crime, please give an example of a law you cannot disobey peacefully. Well, New York made it illegal at one point. They now had to drop it because of the Supreme Court risk. They didn't want to lose the entire law, so they dropped the provision. But New York City had made it illegal to have magazines that held more than 10 bullets. Actually, they held more than 7. It's more than 7 bullets. So if you had a typical 10-round magazine for as many guns had, you had to literally destroy it or turn it into the police before this came into effect. And then once it came into effect, you weren't allowed to possess them. Even if you didn't possess a gun, you couldn't possess an empty magazine that had the potential to hold more than 7 rounds. So you disobey that peacefully, you going to jail for 3.5 years. That was the minimum sentence. Okay? So I'm sorry, but 3.5 years in prison is not peacefully. No, you would have to physically prevent yourself from going to prison to fight that. Okay, if you just going to prison is not fighting the law. That's not an option. I mean, that's just being arrested. The point is to disobey the law and not go to jail for 3.5 years. You could be arrested, but then you get home after a day or two. The point is, if you just get arrested and get convicted, you're not disobeying. Yosef says, I do not mind to download the despecialized edition since I own all the Star Wars movies on DVD and Blu-ray. Anti-Tracker must accept this as not stealing. And I think Anti-Tracker does accept it as not stealing. He said that he thinks it's only legal, really, if you own the movies already. And, I was reading, and the guy who made them, he said, listen, the only people who are out there looking to download the specialized editions of Star Wars have 99% of them have already purchased Star Wars on Blu-ray, DVD, and probably VHS at some point in their lives. They already own the movie 3 times over, and God knows how many times they've seen them in theaters. So is it really, really something to worry about? And no, even Lucasfilm turned a blind eye at the specialized edition. Now I wonder if Disney is going to be as forgiving in the future, now that Disney's decision to make. But Lucasfilm didn't really care about them. They didn't aggressively go after the specialized editions. And I have to say, I agree with the guy who made them. If you're downloading the specialized edition, you've already purchased Star Wars. You know, it's just not something that somebody who's never seen Star Wars is going to care about. Thomas Potts is down with Kuroga. Trek 95 says Life with Matthew says the original Star Wars trilogy. Chan 23. I have the Star Wars prequel box set dated 2011 because I had to replace my original version of each prequel film. Anti-Trigger says yes. That is correct. You do not have to shoot back. If you're unwilling to suffer, it's not that important. Well, you suffer and die. You don't win like they say in the military or whatever. You don't win the war by dying for your country. You win the war by making the other guy die for their country. Life with Matthews' Bird of Prey would not shooting the green-eyed people be peaceful disobedience of the law of shooting green-eyed people? No. No, it wouldn't. Because, I mean, it's not that the law is everybody has to shoot every green-eyed person. The law is, like, cops have to shoot green-eyed people. So you have to get between the cops and the green-eyed people and possibly shoot back. Aberjim says Life with Matthew. McClunky is a word that Greedo now shouts before Hans kills him. It was added this year. Mark Andy says, what if Green Eyes deserve to die? Oh, wait, my eyes are green. Yeah, Life with Matthew. That's exactly what happened. That's how McClunky came to be. It's ridiculous. Dan23 says, is it justified to shoot a home intruder? Absolutely. And I would say it's even justified to shoot them in the back if they're leaving with your stuff. Because they've already taken your stuff. And the says, Dan23, depending on the state, it's not illegal to shoot at a home intruder. Yes, but I say it is a human right to shoot at somebody who has entered your home illegally, with intent to steal or harm, or even without intent, but to steal or harm, but they violated your space. You violated your privacy. Joseph says, blue eyes here, dodge that bullet. Star Trek Nitpicker says, I might violate the Prime Directive if I felt it was the moral thing to do. We saw in Star Trek Nemesis, for those who watched it with me this past Saturday, Picard didn't give a shit about the Prime Directive when it came to going down to a planet to pick up pieces of B4. He didn't even know who it was at first. He didn't even know. He just saw a positronic energy signature. He's like, yeah, let's go down and let's take our super advanced shuttle with the super advanced 4x4, even though with a phaser blaster on the back, and even though it's a pre-warp civilization, we'll let them watch us as we jump into a shuttlecraft and launch up into the sky, because that's not going to affect their development. Shooting at them's not going to affect their development. What about Picard, who in TNG says, even if we have to pay with our lives, right? Even if those proto-Vulcans were going to shoot to kill them, he would have let them kill them all rather than risk contaminating their way of life. But by Star Trek Nemesis, he has Worf shooting back at all these cars that are following them of a pre-warp civilization. Bullshit. Total bullshit. The Prime Directive had been completely ignored in Nemesis. As it is, whenever Star Trek needs to ignore it, it gets ignored. Actor says, that Life with Matthew says, or die. Dan23 says, there was an American diplomat in the UK who was driving and she killed a guy instead of staying in the country. She used diplomatic immunity to travel back to America. Well, that sucks, but as far as I know how diplomatic immunity works, that's kind of something you're allowed to do. I don't agree with it, but if somebody from the UK killed somebody in the US, they would also be allowed to go back to their country. Sci-Fi Nation is Dan23. You can in Michigan as long as they don't get out of the house first. Mike Richards says the bird father has broken the law. I am shocked. Liebert Matthew says, unfortunately I missed anti-stream today. Sorry, I had to stand by a silo and pretend like it wasn't a waste of time for me to be called out there by a client. I'm sorry, Liebert Matthew. Dan23 is in the UK. Andrew Triggers says, Liebert Matthew, that's okay. I'm streaming again in a few hours. Mark Andy says, but nitpicker, you took an oath to die first. Yeah, well, it depends. Apparently it depends. Light with Matters says anti-trigger. Oh, cool. What's the special occasion for the double stream? He wanted to liberate Karoga, but we didn't have the heart to tell him that he was liberating an island off of Mexico instead. Anti-trigger says killing evil Karogans. Right. He was killing innocent people, mind you. Agner says he just needs to finish Just Cause 3, like with Matthew Lowell's. Mark Andy says Dan23 can't kill for any reason. Sargon for Prime Minister. Thomas Potts says anti-trigger. Problem is some people think a law is unjust just because they can't make money off something. That's true. John DeMarco says hello all. Welcome, John DeMarco. Sci-Fi Nation says Bird of Prey 5. I sell those thermostat covers. You can either pick the lock with a paperclip or stick a fillet knife or hanger through the slits to change the temperature. Absolutely, Sci-Fi Nation. And I've done those things. So I can assure you that those plastic pieces of crap are a total and complete waste of money. And no, I didn't have an apartment where we had one of these locks over it. And we might have at one point, but I don't remember. But I used to do it where I worked in my building. When I worked for the liquor importing company, they put in, the building owners put in a separate air conditioning system just for our server room. And they decided to be dicks and cover the thermostat in one of these plastic things. And I'm like, really? You're gonna cover the thermostat? Fine. So I would just adjust it however the hell I wanted. Now it was also important to note that my company had them install one extra vent that went, instead of going to the server room, went directly into my office, because I liked my office extra cool and nobody else. Like, I was surrounded by women, so they typically don't like it cold. So they put this extra vent right into my office. So it was really like I was controlling the temperature in my own office more than the server room. And I would bet more often than not I had it warmer than they had it set to. So I don't feel bad about it either. At one point I just pulled the whole thing off the wall and I said, whatever. I say, if they complain, I'll say, yeah, it fell off the wall. What are they going to do? We were paying them probably millions of dollars in rent a year. They're gonna complain about one thermostat? No, they're not. Plus, they weren't even on. They didn't even get charged per kilowatt hour. They got charged the max month whatever the peak amount used for the month was. That's what determined their bill. I read that. Lightwood Matthews says, hey, John DeMarco, how's it going? Andy Trigger says, you forget the law. It's legal to watch a movie for commentary or criticism, technically. No, it's not. It's legal to use parts of the movie for commentary or criticism or parody. It is not legal to watch it for commentary or criticism. Then everybody could have watched every movie legally, right? If they just comment and criticize it, right? And who doesn't watch a movie and comment and criticize it to somebody, right? Right? I watch the movie. I tell my sister, I tell my mom, I tell my friend, yeah, Godzilla King of the Monsters really sucked. Or hey, I really enjoyed, Star Trek 6. But I mean, everybody criticizes and comments on movies. Dan23 says the thing about American Diplomat I meant to say was an American Diplomat's wife. Ah, well, that's interesting, but I suspect they are covered by the same. John DeMarco says, good, thanks, Matthew. Like Matthew says, can you imagine how much a production studio profits and stocks would go up if they offered to release live viewing for people who couldn't get to a theater? The PR alone would be astounding. And Joseph says, bird of prey, if we do not watch Airplane, let's continue with Star Trek. I gotcha. Yeah, Airplane and Airplane 2 would be the following week when we do get to Airplane. Sci-Fi Nation says, anti-tracker, technically, yes, under the Fair Use Act. Okay, fair use anti-tracker, as much as I respect Kurdistan. You do not get, technically, I don't think you have the legal right to use the clips from Star Trek and Law and Order, or whatever the hell it is, that I don't think you have the right. I don't think that counts as parody for fair use. Everything I know from fair use, your use of Star Trek clips in Super Chat rewards, of all things, is 100% against fair use. Now, I think you should keep doing it because it's within the scope that nobody gives a shit. But it is not fair use. Okay? If you were to make a parody of Law and Order and you shot it and you had a guy who looked like the guy from Law and Order and sounded like the guy, and he said lines that were similar to what they said in Law and Order, then that's a parody, right? Like Captain Marvel. And then they made the porno Captain Marvel. That was protected under parody. They were allowed to have a character called Captain Marvel. They were allowed to have a character called Nick Fury. Okay? And the Captain Marvel was a white blonde chick and Nick Fury was a black guy. And she had the same, more or less same costume and things like that. That they're allowed to do because it's a parody. But they've reshot an entirely different movie to make a parody. You re-editing together some Captain Marvel existing clips into a funny video, I don't believe that's technically parody. I still think it's good to do, and I don't think there's anything immoral about it. But from everything I've ever learned about fair use, that is not fair use. That is just copyright infringement that the studio doesn't, they don't care about. They don't look hard enough. It doesn't use enough of their content to warrant them sending out a false flag, a flagging claim on YouTube. But if you did use, more than 20 seconds of a clip, you can't say, oh, I used it for a parody and think that they're going to release it. They're not. That's not a parody. That's not how parody works. Anti-Trigger says exactly to Sci-Fi Nation. Again, I'm disagreeing. You don't get to watch the entire thing. For fair use, it depends how much of it is used. And you can't, doing the entire thing is certainly not fair use. And I'll be the first one to tell you, doing screenshots every 5 or 10 seconds of an entire movie, it's not technically fair use, even though it's what I do. It's simply that the copyright holder doesn't have a problem with it or doesn't make a big deal about it because it's not affecting them. It's not a big enough threat to them for them to put time into looking for it or to do PR that they would get for doing something like that. Dan23 says there's a Simpsons episode where Homer is driving and he's going to hit one of two things, either a dog or Gil, so he chooses Gil and has to justify it in court. Yeah, we were going to talk about some justification. And Anti-Tracker is texting me rather than writing it in the chat because I guess he's afraid I won't get to it in the chat. Bird, the law allows a critic to watch the movie, not to show it. No, a law doesn't allow a critic to watch a movie illegally. Okay? The studios give critics early access to the movies because the studio sent the critic a copy of the movie. Okay? It's no more legal for a newspaper critic to download a movie illegally, as you call it, from a BitTorrent website and watch it and then criticize it. They don't get a pass. I mean, if technically they were going to get sued for downloading the movie, they'd get sued for downloading the movie. The intent to criticize it or write about it or whatever else doesn't play into it. Okay, in fact, that's the whole reason that movie critics are afraid. They're afraid to give honest reviews about shitty movies because they're afraid their access is going to get pulled. If they didn't need that early access, if they could just go get pirated copies and then still do their jobs, they wouldn't be worried about the access. They're afraid that if they give a Disney movie a shitty review, then Disney's going to say, well, fuck you. We're not going to send you any more movies. Now you're going to have to be a critic just for Warner Brothers movies. And if Warner Brother doesn't like you, well, we're not going to send you movies either. Now you can be a YouTube critic. That's what they're worried about. They need to get the legal video for them to do their work. Dan23 says there's a Simpson. I read that. Dan23 says it's not justified. It's not justified to take candy from a baby. Well, what if you don't want the baby to get diabetes? Lightwork Matthews says they did cast those films well. It was just the lens flare and the way it took 5 minutes to go from Kronos to Earth that did me in. Starships travel at speed. Yeah. Well, I mean, they had Khan just beam to Kronos because of Scotty's apparent warp beaming formula, whatever. As for the Enterprise getting to Kronos, it seemed to get there quick, but to be honest, we don't know how much time really passed between they left and them getting there. It could have been several days of nothing really going on, though that would have been really stupid. But yeah. A lot of movies. Hell, in season 7 of Game of Thrones, distances didn't matter. Star Wars, distances don't matter. A lot of Star Trek distances don't matter. The Orville, which was my biggest problem. As much as I love the Orville. God knows I love the Orville. But Identity Part 2. There's no way they made it back from Isaac's home world in several hours. That all they needed to do was establish a P corner, right? Because they talked about the time. All they needed to do was establish a P corner because it was going to take a few hours. But it took them like a month to get there. But they only need a P corner to get back. I mean, that's ridiculous. But if you let that bother you, you're going to have very few things you can honestly enjoy, unfortunately. Though it is something I care about. John Araki with a $1 super chat. Thank you so much, John Araki. No Dax. No Dax today. Smiling faces. Many smiling faces. Sci-Fi Nations is Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Yeah, Airplane 1 and 2, Ghostbusters 1 and 2. These are definitely movies on the short list when we run out of Star Treks and Star Wars movies. Not counting recent Star Wars movies, which aren't on the list. Thomas is Watch a Trip to the Moon. Anti-Trekker was in it. A Trip to the Moon? You mean A Trip to the Moon? John DeMarco says, I can't wait for Bird to reenact the I don't like sand scene. Live with Mathers is Bird of Prey. What about Back to the Future or Army of Darkness? I could see doing Back to the Future trilogy, sure. I don't think I've ever seen Army of Darkness. Track 95 says, Sci-Fi Nation, did you say you want No, he didn't want Ghostbusters 2016. Dan 23 says, my town doesn't have a cinema. I would have to travel to another town. And God knows you could get killed traveling to a cinema in another town. Thomas Bot says, Dear Bop, or I call the cops. Thank you, Thomas, for your $1.99 super chat. I am...
Captain's log, stardate 741.
Captain's log. I am planning on doing some Dear Bop a little bit later. We still got probably an hour before I end the stream. So we'll get some Dear Bop in, I hope. Where are we? We're 23 minutes behind in comments. Anti-Trigger says, Bird of Prey with your New York City magazine. You should simply refuse to turn it over and go to jail. Peaceful resistance means jail time. Sorry. Yeah, that doesn't work for me, Anti-Trigger. Jail time is one thing. Prison time is another. Okay? Because, see, Rosa Parks didn't go to prison. She went to jail. And she was out in a few days. I wouldn't get the backing Rosa Parks got. Okay? If I decided to fight that, I'd be going to prison. Sci-Fi Nation says Trek 95 Them's fighting words. Anti-Trigger says Martin Luther King Jr. went to jail multiple times. Again, jail, not prison. Anti-Trigger says you just don't want to face the consequences of disobeying the law. I am the law. I don't want to face the consequences of disobeying unjust laws. That's the whole point of trying to get them changed. Sci-Fi Nation Bird of Prey New York City also said big gulps were not allowed. Shaking his head, I guess. The tough guy capital is all wussed out. Well, they said big gulps weren't allowed, but that got thrown out by the courts. So, big gulps are allowed. They were never actually banned. They got thrown out before that ban went into effect. Roxanne is down with people who want to violate copyright, patent, and trademarks. John DeMarco says peaceful resistance means you accept the consequences of disobeying without argument. It depends. I don't think it's not peaceful if you are shot in the head. It's not peaceful if you are put in prison for years. That's not peaceful. It's for you. And the trigger says, I would never suggest anyone violate copyright law. It's perfectly legal to download an edit of the movie as long as you own the movie. Oh, is it though? I mean, it depends what they're editing in. And the trigger says, John DeMarco, exactly, I think Bird misses that. It's a choice. If the statement is important to you, you offer your peaceful resistance only. Otherwise, it's just shut up and obey the law. That's what you would like it to be, Anti-Tracker. That's what you'd like it to be, a Turdistan. And Rock Solid says, when you suffer, die, and are buried, then on the third day you rose again in fulfillment of the scriptures. What then, bird of prey? Well, that's a very rare situation. Oh, Anti-Tracker, peaceful resistance doesn't mean peaceful for you. It means do no harm. Did peaceful resistance win the Civil War? Did peaceful resistance bring about the American Revolution? Did peaceful resistance stop the Nazis? You want peaceful resistance? Are you going to resist Hitler with peaceful resistance? If you were in 1940 Germany, are you going to just do peaceful resistance to the Nazis? If you were in 1776 Boston or Philadelphia, are you going to do peaceful resistance to the crown? I read that. Andrew says, this is not war, bird. Peaceful resistance is how you affect change within your country. And that's exactly right. You stand in front of the green-eyed people. If you are alone, you get killed. That is not peaceful resistance. That is sacrificing yourself for no good reason. Thomas is rock solid. Stop oppressing me. And the trigger says, but more will stand. Sure they will. Surf says, go out and buy colored contacts for the green-eyed people. Oh, and see, somebody's thinking. Rock Solid says, I will do what I must, Thomas. And the trigger says, as more and more stand between the cops and the green-eyed people, the law would be revoked. Assuming more people stand between the cops and the green-eyed people. Where were all the Germans standing between the SS and the Jews? Where were those people? John DeMarco says for the green-eyed people, shielding them from police is peaceful resistance, but shooting back is not. That's what I'm saying. It can't always be peaceful resistance. Rock Solid says Bird of Prey doesn't violate the Prime Directive. He violates the laws of nature. Rock Solid says, I wouldn't violate the Prime Directive, Bird of Prey, but I'd violate Jadzia. Wow. Thomas is breaking. All who are under the Scorpio are to be arrested. Son of a bitch. Anti-Trigger says, hey Bird, can you please send me $69.03? I could, but I'm not going to. But why do you need $69.03? Rock Solid says, how the hell did anyone miss Anti-Trekker's stream? Live with Matthew was like 436 hours long. Anti-Trekker says, Rock Solid says it was only 412 hours, not 436. Trek95 says, Rock Solid, it was only Anti-Trekker 3 hours to wrap. It only takes Anti-Trekker 3 hours to wrap up. Anti-Trekker says, now we might have that. I don't know. Thomas says 412, that's my area code. Rock Solid says, oh yeah, because it's a huge different Anti-Tracker. Did you watch what I sent you, by the way? Anti-Trigger says, by the way, Rock Solid, I watched your stream last night, even though I was streaming while it was on. I watched it this morning. So Rock Solid was playing Use Your Words, which is a very good party game. But all the answers where somebody said Bird of Prey 5 were him. And the thing is, I didn't recognize anyone else in the stream as being, usual people who watch mine or Anti-Trekker's stream. So I was kind of curious, Rock Solid, did anybody else in your stream know who the hell Bird of Prey 5 was when you kept putting Bird of Prey 5 answers into Use Your Words? Because the other people's names who were playing the game with you, I didn't recognize a single one of them. Andy Trigger says, not yet. I just had lunch and Bird started. I will take a break and watch as soon as Bird sends me the 6903 I need. Rex says, why don't you just say you're not going to watch it, Anti-Tracker? We both know Krogan Dictator is super cheap, right, Bird of Prey? Oh, and he cheats. What is the 6903 for? I'm curious. And I'm looking here, Anti-Tracker. If you're going to answer it, you can answer it. Did you answer it already? I don't even think. No, he didn't. He did not answer. He said I should stop being stupid. Dan 20 says Bird extra cool with women. Lol, not really. Josh reads says, lol, Bird of Prey, we know you wanted to be cold when you're surrounded by women. Oh, I see. And the Trigger says he does cheat and he is cheap, but I figured that maybe someone else will take pity on me and send me 6903. Joseph says Bird loves his women on ice. Roxas says, why wouldn't anyone take pity on someone with 13,000 plus subscribers? And the Trigger says, read the law, Bird. Mike Richards says, walking freezer unit. Thomas says, Anti-Trigger, why 6903? Anti-Trigger says, you would need to be able to demonstrate that you are doing it for commercial purposes, i.e. you're a professional critic. I will look into it. I find it highly dubious that you are allowed to download a movie illegally or watch a movie without paying for it if you're what's a professional critic? What is a professional critic, by the way? That you get paid to write movie reviews? Is that what's a professional? You get paid to do reviews? Because I technically get paid to do reviews. I mean, granted, it's cents. It's not dollars. It's cents, although sometimes I get some super chats. So I technically get paid to do reviews. Am I a professional critic? Roxanne says, Anti-Trigger says, read the book. What are you, L. Ron Hubbard? Yeah, who has time to read? Anti-Trigger doesn't read. He uses his dyslexia. Like, I got dyslexia. I can't read. Anti-Trigger says, Thomas bought, Just Cause 4 bundle. Oh, the Just Cause 4 bundle is 6903. Thomas says, dang. Thomas says, Anti-Trigger, I wish you would just play 3. I looked at Just Cause 4. There's like aliens and shit in it. I was like, oh god. Because I was debating getting it. Because I'll be honest, I did like Just Cause 3. And I was like, how can I one-up Anti-Tracker? I was like, oh, let me look at Just Cause 4. And I looked at Just Cause 4 and I see freaking alien ships and shit. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I don't want aliens. I don't want to be fighting aliens. I just want to... No. You know what I mean. And the Trigger says the game plus all the DLCs. Josh reads, so we can all watch Bird comment on his streams and we could make tons of money off him. So we can all watch Bird and comment on his streams and we can make tons of money. If you can make tons of money by commenting on my streams, you should do it, Josh Street. Roxanne says you don't have the rights to Star Trek and lore and order. Anti-Tracker, Bird of Prey just said so. Simon is Bird of Prey, so everything you, Anti-Tracker, Lord, myself, and others do is illegal by your logic. It's not illegal because it's not a criminal violation. It's a civil violation. And if they choose not to do anything about it, you can do it. But any given super chat Anti-Tracker uses that uses even a single frame from like Star Trek or Star Wars, I'm not sure if he even has any that uses it. The only ones I know are Star Trek and Law and Order. And if they wanted to, even for using a single frame, they could give him a copyright strike if they were so inclined. Are they? No, thankfully they're not, and hopefully they never will be. But I believe they would be within their legal right to give a copyright strike. They'd be within the legal right to give me a copyright strike. Oh, I would bitch about it. I would bitch and complain all the way, but technically, yes, they are, I believe. From what I know about fair use, yes, because making a super chat is not, in my opinion, fair use. And what I do when I show the entire, clips from the entire movie on Star Trek Saturday, that's technically not fair use. That is, however, I believe, sending more people to watch the movie than they're losing in revenue. So I don't think it's smart for them to ever copyright strike it. But technically, could they? Yeah, I think they could. And it worries me a little. Every time I do that, it does worry me. Now, when I do an actual review, that is fair use. If I'm reviewing something, you are allowed to use small clips from an episode or whatever as part of a review or critique. Whatever smallest part you need to use to get your point across is what you are legally allowed to use. So if I want to critique how stupid, it is when Picard says something, and I can use, 14 seconds of dialogue for Picard to say it, that's fine. I'm allowed to do that. But if I want to say how stupid Picard is as saying something, and I use 3.5 minutes of it building up to him saying it, that is not fair use. Dan23 says, what if instead of using a film or TV clip, you change the clip into a GIF? Irrelevant, Dan. Irrelevant. Legally irrelevant. However, if you changed it into a GIF that was a small frame rate and reduced colors and very, very pixelated, it very well might stop the automated bots on YouTube from matching the content. But legally, it wouldn't change the fact that they could get you for a copyright strike. Anna Trigger says, according to Bird, yes. However, it's not accurate. In fact, the lore specifically says that it takes into account how much of the original work you use as a percentage of the whole. Yes, but again, if you're doing... Okay, you can't just take a small percentage of the work and put it up just for fun. And to be specifically clear, you are technically making money off of Super Chat. You Super Chats are, I'd say, more dangerous than your typical YouTube review, where you make money off a YouTube review from advertising, but that's more secondary than anything else. Whereas somebody pays you directly for Super Chat number 17, and you're making $1 or whatever off of playing the same 4 seconds of Law and Order clip, I think you'd have a very, very, very hard time justifying that as fair use. And this record, do I want you? No, I want you to keep doing it, and I think it's good, and I'm happy that Hollywood hasn't tightened down on us, and YouTube hasn't tightened down on us that much that even 5 seconds of video gets blocked and causes copyright strikes. But I think you need to understand for your own going forward, your own planning, that you are technically not within the bounds of fair use, in my opinion, when you do a super chat such as that. I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but I would say that that's probably not in the bounds of fair use, considering all the things I've ever read and heard about fair use. I would still do it. I'm not saying stop it. I'm just saying that if it came down to fighting it in court, I would say, shit, well, I'm not going to win this because I think it's pretty clear that I don't have a leg to stand on, no pun intended, in that case. Thomas Bott says, sci-fi, Bird of Prey is trying to get you all locked up, so he is the only one on YouTube. No, you see, I'm saying I also have crossed these lines. I think most YouTubers have crossed the line. And you know what? Every YouTuber that reads an article, they are also not using, it's not fair use. Okay? It is not fair use to read an entire article and make a YouTube video about it. I still like it. I still like a lot of times when videos do it. I like people who do such videos when they make interesting stories. But if you're making a YouTube video and you're just putting out that and you're just reading word for word a news article and you're showing the news article, that is also technically not fair use. Now, if you read one short paragraph out of a 12-paragraph article and you spent 30 minutes commenting on this one paragraph out of the news article, that's different. Then you are commenting, you're criticizing, whatever. But there are YouTubers who just read an entire article and throw in a couple of their own opinions, but it's 90% article and 10% YouTuber's opinion. That is not covered by fair use. Okay? If you bring up an article, show just a paragraph, and the content is 90% your own thoughts and only, 5 or 10% the actual article, then that is fair use. And John Araki with another $1 super chat. Thank you so much, John Araki. And Track 95 is again begging for Dear Bob. Let me get a little further. Darth Calhoun says, how's it going, Bert? It's going good, Darth Calhoun. How are you doing, Darth Calhoun? I've been a little worried about you. I'm wondering, because I know you have recently enlisted in our armed forces, in the Army, and I'm wondered how you're wondering what's going on with Iran. I don't know what you can or can't say about it, but when I heard what happened with Iran and I heard that we were sending more troops that way, I was like, I wonder how this is going to affect Darth Calhoun. It honestly was one of the first things that crossed my mind. Dan23 says, doesn't Star Trek Continues do that with a guy looking like the original? But Star Trek Continues is not a parody. Star Trek Continues is a tribute to the original. Nobody would consider Star Trek Continues a parody. If it was a bona fide parody, then CBS would not be able to tell it that it can only do 15-minute episodes and 2 15-minute episodes, which basically, as I've heard, has killed Star Trek Continues. But they're not a parody. They're a continuation of Star Trek. So they have to follow CBS Viacom guidelines. And I'm just skipping ahead. Alexander says, Bird of Prey, when you read an article from the magazine live on YouTube, this is a violation of copyright. Last time when you read this article in the magazine, I did not read an article called Hot Girl for Pleasure. And Daniel's Hot Topics is Bird of Prey. Guess what? I was at Louisiana Chicken Joint, and I went to the bathroom. It was out of order, and I went to the bathroom anyway. I wish I didn't. I'm very sorry to hear that, Daniel's Hot Topics. Joseph says, A New Hope to specialize is effing 20 gigabytes. On it now. I found a 4 gigabyte version, but I couldn't minimize it I have a lot of different software to try and shrink the size of files, but I could not get it below that 4 gigabytes. Every time I tried to do it, the audio would get totally out of sync. But I have a 4 gigabyte A New Hope and like a 3.2 gigabyte Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Trek 95 says, Sci-Fi Nation, are you saying I enjoy spending time with criminals since what you all do is supposed to be illegal? And John Araki with another $1 super chat. Thank you so much, John Araki. And Sci-Fi Nation with a $10 super chat. Wow. Let's let this play. Okay, Sci-Fi Nation with a $10 super chat says, Hail Karoga, got a new used PC last night. i7 3.4 gig i7 3.4 gig quad core CPU, 11 gigs of RAM. Just need to upgrade graphics card. It's a 50 megapixel USB cam with built-in noise canceling mic for $10. A good first buy. Holy shit. 50 megapixel with built-in noise canceling for $10? Yeah, hell yeah. Send me the link. Send me the link, Sci-Fi Nation. That sounds like a great camera. I've never seen that. I'm just a little confused. Okay, 3.4 gigahertz. i7 at 3.4 gigahertz. Quad core CPU. 11 gigs of RAM? That's a very odd number. Maybe it's 12 gigs and it's just that you have 11 accessible. That would make more sense. 11 gigs is a very weird number since RAM tends to be in powers of 2. So you could have an 8 gig and a 4 gig chip, or 2 2s and 2 4 gig chips. That would be 12 gigs, but you might only see 11. That's possible. Lightwoods Matthew says, rock solid. Where are we going to rook anti-tracker on the Rise of Skywalker stream? Oh, okay, wait. I gotta go back. I gotta go back to where I was. Sci-Fi Nation Trek 95, according to Bird, yes. Trek 95 says, cool. Rock solid says, Dear Bop, damn it. Sci-Fi says, what about Dear Rocks? Rock solid. Rock solid says, he's at work, otherwise he'd do it. Sci-Fi Nation lols. Rock solid says, besides Bird of Prey, I'm a life coach. I'm a coach about what not to do with your life. Okay, guys. I'm going to start I'm sorry, it's at 5:28. I'm going to have to just read the Bird of Prey 5 comments because I got way behind. I'll read the Bird of Prey 5 comments so I catch up. We'll do some Dear Bops, and then I will do some of the things I wanted to read in the news. And then I'll probably tell you what's been going on here all day. Dan23 says some YouTubers from the UK seem to have watched some programs that haven't yet been released in the UK. It happens. It happens. Anthony says, Bird of Prey, you do realize that peaceful resistance does not mean peaceful for you. It means you do no harm. Well, it's different in Karoga. Dan23 says, Bird of Prey, Deep Space Nine is an episode where they take a shuttle to the sister station, and in the other episode, Kira is transported there instantly. So JJ's film is not the first we see that. True, but I have to believe that Terok Nor and Empok Nor were closer than Earth and Kronos. But yes, you are true. There have been times when people have been beamed long distances. Hell, in the TNG episode, where the Ferengi was trying to convince Picard he had a son so he could kill the son, there was some long distance transporting going on there too, I Daniel's Hack Topics is okay, I read that. Darth Cahoon says if you were in 1940 Germany, most likely you were supporting Hitler. Anti-Trigger is a bird of prey. Don't be stupid, bird. Those are armed conflicts between nations and a civil war. Do not attempt to bring about change via non-violent means. Anti-Trigger, before it became a war amongst nations, and honestly, the external war had little to do with it. If you were in Germany in the 1940s, or say 1939, okay, before the first bullets were fired, and where were the Germans lining up to protect the Jews? There were a couple. Oh, grant, we all know about Anne Frank in that attic. But where were the people standing up between the SS and the Jews? Couldn't do it. You couldn't do it because you'd get killed. John Iraqi
negative at this time.
With a $1 super chat, and we got eyebrow Dax. Anti-Tracker says, I wish Bird of Prey were not so politically correct. You think I'm politically correct? I'm just barely politically correct enough that YouTube doesn't erase my account. And I'm still not sure they won't do that. Roxod says, Anti-Tracker, did you ask Bird of Prey to stop being stupid? That's like asking him not to cheat or water not to be wet. Rock solid. Dan23, is it justified for a woman to use a man's toilet if the queue is too long and the queue for the men's is not? I think it's justified. Daniel's Hot Topic says, I went to wash and dry my hands when all of a sudden I smelled something most foul, and I looked to the far left and the toilet was overflowing, and then I looked down and I was standing in piss. Oh, man. Live with Matthews is Bird of Prey. I think that's rather the point. If more Germans had resisted the unlawful persecution of the Jews, then we would have needed a war. Then would we have needed a war? Well, we didn't go to war to stop the Jews from being persecuted. I mean, it was a happy addition. But we went to war to stop the Germans from attempting to invade England and continue to control France. That's what we went to war for. So if they had not done any of that stuff, then we wouldn't have needed the war. Had they been nice to the Jews and still been invading France and trying to invade the UK, we still would have gone to war. Stromore says, greetings, Bird of Prey, Mama Prey, and fellow nerds. Greetings, Stromore. John DeMo says, you can always peacefully resist, but you might lose your life. Violence is done to you, but you don't use violence. Again, it depends on if you actually want to change something or not. Lightweight Matthews is Bird of Prey. That raises a good question. At what point would you say it's necessary or moral to transition from peaceful disobedience to violence, such as the American Revolution, World War II? Easy. When violence is being committed against you, it is the time to escalate to violence. You or your family, or your friends, or anyone, to be honest. If somebody's being unjustly threatened physically, it's time that you should go beyond civil disobedience. Peaceful disobedience. Stromore says, in greetings to Sassy, Chaser of Cats, Eater of Cookies, Stalker of Funnels, Defiler of Cushions, and Scourge of the Squirrels. Roxalt says, I wasn't the only one following in Bird of Prey. Trek 95 was there. Moxley 20 come in to see lately too. See, I was spreading your seed around, getting you more exposure. I'm so sorry, everyone. Well, thank you, Roxalt. It's not that I was complaining. I was just curious. Thomas Potts is Bird of Prey. Did you watch all of Cinnabon stream? If not, don't worry about it. Thomas, I watched, I'd say 90%, and I saw you admitting to being the Iranian in Dear Bop, and some other things I dare not bring up. John DeMarco says, in terms of the Civil War, no other country that I know of had to fight a war to end slavery. That is true. John Street says, Bird of Prey, my great-grandfather on my mother's father's side, younger brother, was thrown into a work camp for trying to help Jews get into Denmark before Germany invaded it. Well, I'm happy he tried to help. I wish there was a way he could have done that without getting thrown into a labor camp. Shomor says, Bird of Prey, laws are subject to change upon the whim of the God Emperor of Karoga. Hail Karoga. You know, Odo did say it in Deep Space Nine, that laws change with the governments, but justice is justice. Lightwood Matthew says, lol, I had to explain to a friend who stopped by who Bird of Prey was and what was up with the Frank and Freddy references. Andrew says, Bird of Prey, I did not answer. I did answer, you just did not look. Okay, but it didn't get there at the time. Tracking Professor Rock Solid Bird of Prey, I said Rock Solid Productions is a bad name for a sperm bank. Wow. Wow. How far back are we? How far back are we? Okay. Josh Street says, it's 4:42, 5:42 bird time. How long before he gets to this chat? It's been a while. It's now 6:07. Okay, just Bird of Prey 5s. Joseph says, Bird of Prey 5, it's not afraid. Bird of Prey 5 is not afraid of breaking the law. What would they do to him? Home arrest? The bed is bigger than a prison cell. There are people who get arrested in wheelchairs. Come on, Thomas. There are people who get arrested in wheelchairs and shit. I wouldn't mess with it. Especially in New York City. Alexander says, Bird of Prey, we need crossover with Rose Tico and Jar Jar Binks. Rock Solid says, Anti-Shrek, a new super chat idea for Joshua, Lorehead, and Bird of Prey. Breaking the law. Shrek says, Bird of Prey, you would bitch and complain. No way, really? Yes, you know I would. I'm not going to pretend I'm not. Josh Street says, Rock Solid, the title of Lorehead and Bird of Prey, Herbert from Family Guy episode could be called Bad Touch. Andrew says, Bird of Prey, I'm just not putting up a clip for fun. The clip is transformative in the context. The line spoken in SVU is referring to lore in drag rather than the episode. You could try it. Listen, I wish you the best. I do. I hope it never has to get tested. Andrew says, Bird of Prey, I actually asked a local copyright lawyer about that. Okay. Light Magic, Bird of Prey, first of all, no leg to stand on. Second of all, you and Anti-Tracker need to have this conversation in real time. Alexander says, Bird of Prey, we know that you want to be alone on YouTube. This is your goal. Speak alone on YouTube. Shark95 says, Dear Bop. Mr. Londell's in the house. Qapla, Mr. Londell. I'm sorry, I'm skipping a lot of the chats unless they say Bird of Prey 5. Because we're so far behind. Alexander says, Bird of Prey, when you reach the article from Magazine's Live... I read this one. Daniel's Hot Topics, yes, I read that one. Mr. Londell says, Bird of Prey, Star Trek Continues was allowed to finish their final season despite the crackdown on Axanar. Well, that's fine. But was their final season? They weren't planning more? Then I'm happy. Alexander says, Bird of Prey, it was not hot girl for pleasure, it was hot tea girl for pleasure. This is the she-males mag. Son of a bitch. Alexander says, Bird of Prey, it's weird name, Karoga, it's kind of... No, it's not a she-male slogan. It's named after a small town in upstate New York. Life with Matthews says, Bird of Prey, Sci-Fi Nation, I believe that was a 5.0 megapixel cam, perhaps. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. I doubt 50 megapixels would even be able to transmit over USB bandwidth. Alexander says, Bird of Prey, are you close to finally getting your Rose Tico series? No closer than I was yesterday. Sci-Fi Nation's Bird of Prey came with 8 gigs. I just put in 3 out of the old tower. So you had 3 1-gig chips? Or DIMMs, or whatever they're called. Daniel's Hot Topics is Bird of Prey. I went to wash and dry my hands when all of a sudden I smelled something. I read that one. Track 956 got him behind. We know Freddy was behind Frank. Wow. Kennewick says Kronos is only 5 days away via Warp 5 and Enterprise. So stupid, Rick Berman. Sci-Fi Nation Bird of Prey, link to camera sent. It's 50 megapixels, not 5.0. Wow. Sci-Fi Nation Bird of Prey, check AOL Mail. Thank you, Sci-Fi. I will check it later. Alexander says, seriously, we have a lot more comments than Bird of Prey can read, invisible from me. Shromore says, Bird of Prey, the White Roses stood up, and the Catholic Church excommunicated the 1930s political party members. The Pope organized a few assassination attempts on Mustache Man and cronies. Dear Bops. Josh reads says, Bird of Prey, Sci-Fi Nation, you the only bird. You know, Bird only has an email with MySpace. No, I don't have a MySpace email. I do have an AOL email. Roxodds says, Bird of Prey puts the bop in Dear Bop, the bop, shabop, the bop. Trigger95 says, Dear Bop, the bop, the bop. Roxodds says, Dear Bop needs to draw the line here, this far, no further, and Bird of Prey will make them pay for what they have sent. Wow, okay, we're close. Wesley Crushes, Bird of Prey, who unsubbed? Those poor, yeah, I lost 5 or 6 subs yesterday. I think it was my boring Polybridge stream. I had 1,572 subscribers, and then this morning when I woke up, I had 1,566. So 6 subscribers. Then 1 person subscribed today. At least I got notification of 1 person subscribing today. So, we'll see. I get a lot of people, sometimes I get subscribers without any notification that anybody subscribed. So it's weird. I don't know how it works. Like maybe YouTube doesn't tell you about half your subscribers. Wesley, Bird of Prey, how can we get them back? Play the song Lost Subscribers. I could, but I don't think you know what? When I have to Jaloja, I'll play the unknown subscriber song. But first, let's do some Dear Bops. Okay, let's do some Dear Bops are here. Yes, finally your Dear Bops are here. And how are 15? Jesus Christ. 15 Dear Bops. Okay, and I haven't read any of them ahead of time. Rock Solids is Bird of Prey. Poop, I just looked. I'm unsubscribed. Son of a bitch. Well, guys, do please double check that you're still subscribed. I am losing a lot of subscribers. I'm getting them back, but I lose them pretty quickly. Live with Matthew says, Wesley, I think the unknown subscriber may have been the first video I saw on this channel after subscribing. Thomas says, Dear Bob, we didn't ask you to do them, you son of a bitch. Okay, the first Dear Bob. Dear Bob, you suck. Wow. Okay, my advice for you, if you think I suck, then watch Anti-Tracker. If you think I suck, watch Anti-Tracker. Dear Bob, I never heard the story, and I don't feel obligated to share. But can you share the story of how you became bedridden? Anti-Wesley Crusher. Yes, Wesley, I can. And I will. But let's listen to the unknown subscriber, and then I'll be able to tell the story in full. Howdy YouTube, this here is Birdo Prey 5, and I've got an original song for you today. It's called The Ode to the Unknown Subscriber, and it was written by me. One sad morning. It goes a little bit like this. I woke up this morning and opened my channel. Every day is a battle, every sub more important than branded cattle. But this morning when I checked my stats, I was shocked, I was saddened, I was surrounded by bats. A YouTuber lives and dies by his numbers, always editing, always avoiding the blunders. But last night, a mistake I must have made, 'cause I lost a subscriber. I'm a failure to my trade. Where, oh where did my subscriber go? Why did he leave? I mean, it could have been a chick, but no. Why, oh why did my subscriber leave? Did I insult them? Did I make fun of something they believe? Are they angry? Are they hurt? Was there anything I could have done not to get burnt? When, oh when will my subscriber return? I can change, I can improve, I can even feel the burn. They're gone, they're never coming back. I need to move on, cut myself some slack. But every precious subscriber, even if I don't know your name, every precious subscriber, I love you all just the same. So I will always miss my unknown subscriber. They didn't leave a comment. What more could I have tried? Maybe I could have given them a briber. Or maybe they just died. Y'all remember to tip your waitresses. Have a mighty fine night. Okay, well, we didn't have to play all the extended version of that. So, a couple of suggestions came in while I was jalodering. One was to check the volume of the I understand the song played a little low at the beginning. I had to up the volume. Sorry about that. Thomas Potts, though, said maybe you should make a video of what happened to you. I know you told us in the stream, but that would make it hard to find. Yeah. You know what? And Vile Mike says, Birdo Prey is the only guy I know to get charged with assault just for playing guitar. Okay, so, you know what? I think Thomas Potts is actually right. I probably should just do a dedicated video to what exactly happened, because to be honest, the story's kind of long if I want to get into all the details. So I think that's what we'll do. What I'll tell you here, though, is that in 2009, I was having abdominal and back pains for quite a while. Now I had a history of kidney stones, and I had a history of back pain because I had herniated discs. So at first I thought it was a kidney stone. I went to a urologist. He said it's not a stone. I went to my chiropractor. He gave me some muscle relaxers and stuff, and didn't seem to help. So he didn't think it was a back issue. And after it just got so bad, I called my primary care doctor, and he said that, I had a history of high triglycerides, so it could be pancreatitis, because pancreatitis is a side effect of high triglycerides. And so he said you should go to the emergency room and ask them to check for pancreatitis. So I did with my dad, who was living with me at the time. And they said, yep, it's pancreatitis. And that was the day before Mother's Day. So Mama Pray came in, and she had been working up to that point, but she came in and she stayed with me, and she never ever ended up going back to work. She was a supervisor at JetBlue. She just gave the keys to somebody. She didn't think she was going to be spending, she thought she'd get back eventually. My sister flew up from Florida to see Mom for Mother's Day. So she also came in expecting she was going home in a couple of days. She came in, she was only coming in for the day. She didn't even have clothes. She didn't even have new change of clothes. So yeah. And so everybody ended up staying. The next day in the hospital was the last day I stood. I was in the hospital one night. The next day I was in total, even worse pain. At one point I said I was in the bed too long. I was in the bed for like 8 hours. I was like, I can't stay in this bed any longer. So I had the nurse help me. I got the chair and I tried to sit next to the bed in the hospital chair, and the pain got even worse. And Mom will pray with me. I said, this was a bad idea. And I got back into the bed, and then that was it. That was the last time I stood. The doctors came in later that day and said, look, you got a mild case of pancreatitis. We can do, it's going to be very painful. What we can do is put you to sleep for a few days, and when you wake up, the worst will be over. So I said, do it, because I couldn't take the pain. Yeah, do it. That was great. That sounded great. Only problem was I did not wake up for a long, long time. And once I was asleep, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And those were the exact words of the director of the ICU, which is where I was for 7.5 months. I had all types of infections set in, hospital-borne infections. My lung collapsed. The tube got ripped out of my throat because it got stuck on a bed rail. Fever, high fever, 106 fever twice, and the fever went on for months. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. I couldn't get any nutrition because of the pancreatitis, and frankly, the idiot doctors would keep changing things. They didn't realize the tube was supposed to be past the pancreas. So a doctor would put it in, then another doctor would come by and say, oh, this is too deep, and pull it up, and then I'd get sick, and I was out. I was in a coma, so I didn't know this was happening. So then they just stopped trying to feed me. Then they tried to feed me via IV, but that would keep getting fungus infection, so they keep having to take that out. So I went months and months without any type of nutrition, months and months without moving at all, because the unstable airway, because of when the trach tube got pulled out when it got stuck on a bed rail. So when I finally did move me, they found 3 giant bed sores on my back, which I think personally were one of the biggest problems I had. And when I finally did start to come around and wake up, I couldn't move. I couldn't move anything. I was so weak. I'd lost 100% of my muscles. I did not even have the strength to push the call button for the nurse. That little just push down of a button, I couldn't push it. I thought the thing was broken, but no, Mom and my sister, my dad, they could push it without problem. I couldn't physically push down a goddamn button. I was just bones and unfortunately still some fat on me, but I had lost all my muscles and a good part of my body fat. I couldn't talk because I was trached, and I was in terrible, terrible pain because the morphine had completely worn off. it was literal hell on earth type stuff. I mean, torture, the type of torture you don't wish on anybody. And then after 11 months, the hospital kicked me out. The hospital kicked me out. They said, you got to get out. You can't stay here. But none of the nursing homes wanted to take me until we found one nursing home willing to take me because we had to pay them cash. Luckily, I had a very, very good job before I got sick. Very good job. And I had a very decent 401k. We had to drain the 401k. We had to give the nursing home a check for $30,000 for 1 month. 2 months. And they took me. Once they had the check, they took me. And then I went home after. And we had to order our own bed because the nursing home didn't have any beds that I was supposed to be in. They just had shitty beds, to be honest, where I needed a hospital bed that had an air mattress. So we had to pay to have our own, right. On top of that, we had to pay another, what? $215 a day for a custom hospital bed at the nursing home. And then when I came home, we had to buy another hospital bed that we didn't pay to rent. So we bought this hospital bed, which clocked in at $27,000, this hospital bed I'm sitting in is. So, yeah, it was a very long and expensive and painful year of hell. It was literally the year of hell. I was between the time I went to the hospital the first day and the time I came home from the nursing home was a year and just under a month. A year and 16 days. But yeah, no, hospital staff there are some good and there are a lot of bad. Wesley, I'm scared of hospitals to death. You should be. Wesley, Berta Parade, the hospital effed you over big time. Yeah, and couldn't sue him. You know, at least when all this shit was happening, I was like, well, they admitted they fucked up. I was like, at least I'll get the money in my 401k back. That's all I wanted, okay? I had $100,000 in my 401k. $142,000 in my 401k. It was gone. We had to drain it just to get me through the few months out of the hospital. My 401k was gone. Okay. I understand. Mama prays. It wasn't just my 401k, hers and my dad's retirement, which granted, I feel bad, but those were small compared to mine. Okay. All I was hoping was that at some point we would be able to get back the money that I had to take out of my 401k. And we had a law firm that we were working with for months and months and months. And then, what was it, 3 weeks, 2 weeks before? I don't know how long. Yeah, they had over 8 months. They had all the hospital records. And then when we thought they were getting ready to make a case with like 2 weeks left before the case goes over, they call me and they say, oh, we decided we can't we can't take this case. We can't move forward with this case. But because of New York state law puts a 2-year limit or something. Two law. Okay, so it was 2 different law firms. Okay, so fine. There was one law firm gave 8 months, and we went to a second law firm, and then they came back in just a couple of weeks, and like we can't take your case. And that hit me hard because then I realized that I was never getting back the money we had spent on all this shit. But in hindsight, the money really wouldn't. It's not about the money at this point. Because the thing was, at the time, the doctors were saying I'd be walking within a year. So this was temporary, okay? In my mind, this was temporary. My mom and my dad and my sister, they tore all the carpet out of my house so I could have the hospital bed. They moved all my furniture so I could have a hospital bed in my living room. I even kept paying the lease on my car, my Infiniti QX56, because I thought I might get a chance to use it towards the end of the lease again. Because the doctors were so sure, oh yeah, you'll be walking within a year, walking within a year, walking within a year. It was bullshit. I'm still not close to walking. And then when a year came by, I said, oh, well, one more year. Maybe it'll take 2 years. Well, one more year. And so everything we heard from the doctors, I was making financial decisions on my house and my cars on short-term basis, if this was a short-term disability. Nobody told me that this had even the potential of being a long-term disability. They didn't say, oh, it's half a shot, you're not going to walk again in 10 years. They didn't say that at all. There was nobody even brought that up as a possibility. So I made a lot of bad decisions because I was assuming that this would be over with in a year or two tops. So Wesley says, stop it. I'm getting the feel. I'm sorry, Wes. I'm sorry. Violent Mike says, could have been worse. Bird of Prey could have been a year of hell with coffee deprived Janeway. Sci-Fi Nation says, all hail the O'Brien family. Looking out for you, Bird of Prey. Thank you. Lightwood Matthews says, Bird of Prey, Mama Prey is the best. She is indeed. She is indeed. Sci-Fi Nation says, there's millions that are. This is a first-hand account of why it's needed. Oh. Vile Mike says, Bird is a poster boy for a single-payer system. Honestly, I don't know a single-payer system would be any better. Wesley says, Bird of Prey, so on top of everything they lied to you. Mama Prey thinks it was a misdiagnosis. Maybe they just didn't want to. Maybe they feared reprisal. My aunt saw one of the doctors crossing a very large street a year later, and with his family, and she said if it wasn't for his family, he might have been an unfortunate victim of a runaway car. Might have been. He came really close. What did you say, Mama Prey was saying she doesn't know she would have been able to stop even with the family there. He was the most asshole of all the doctors. Most arrogant, and he literally defied New York state law. Both me and my mom, who was, what was the term? My healthcare proxy. So even if I wasn't in a condition to make judgments for myself, which I was, but even if I wasn't, my mom was there and she was the proxy, so she had legal authority. And all around the hospital, they have the New York Patient's Bill of Rights. You have the right to refuse the treatment. It's plastered all around the hospital. So there was one night, it was like shortly before Christmas, and he comes in, and he's like, you've been laying back in bed too long. Now, mind you, I have 3 giant bed sores, but the biggest one you could fit 2 fists in, not my fist, but Mama Prey fist. And you could see my tailbone, that the skin and everything, the tissue had eroded all the way into my tailbone. plus 2 other sores on my back that were slightly smaller. And he demanded that I sit up. And I was like, fuck you. It hurts. I didn't say it exactly. I could barely speak, mind you. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I said, I'm refusing treatment. And Mom operates the note, we're refusing this treatment. And the doctor's like, no, we got to do this or he's not going to walk. And I'm like, no, we're refusing this. Can't do this. It is so painful. And they're like, well, I need more. No, he won't give me more morphine. He won't give anything. And so he tells the nurse, and he gets 3 other doctors. And they're going to pull me up against my consent. And I said, no. I looked at all of them. I said, no, this is against, I'm refusing this treatment. This is against the patient bill of rights. If you do this, I'm going to sue all of you. And they looked at each other and like they looked at him. They were a little wary and he shook his head like, hey, you can't sue us. And they did it. They pulled me up and I was in such pain. I can't describe it. It was the pain that was so bad I couldn't even scream. It was before smartphones. Mom couldn't record it. If they had recorded this shit, it would have been on the news. It was fucking torture. It was torture, okay? I not that I'm saying that I could live, in a Vietnamese prison camp like John McCain for however many years. I'm not saying that. But I'm telling you, whatever shit they put him through, it was at worst as bad. And it was so painful. The pain was unimaginable. And they did it. And
You're still not walking.
And still not walking, so it really didn't make a shit. It really didn't matter. Really didn't matter. Anyway, and then apparently I can't sue them. So I said, but they broke the law. They broke the Bill of Rights. They said, yeah, well, in that case, you should call the New York State and report them. Yeah, fuck you. Call and report them. The hospital. Yeah, the hospital is Long Island Jewish. Nobody wants to sue them. They have the biggest law team that no lawyer wants to sue that hospital. Mr. Miles says, Bird of Prey, I don't trust hospitals either. My grandmother's knee operation, they accidentally left part of a sponge in her knee. Alexander says, Bird of Prey, this is why we need single payer. F private insurance. I don't know that this would have been any better under single payer. I'm just saying, it's the people. And if the people aren't happy, or not competent, single payer doesn't fix this. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't have had to spend my life savings, but to be honest, the life savings was minimal compared to the crappy condition, and honestly, from single payer systems, I can't imagine it would have been any better treatment. Because at the time, I had very good insurance. Wesley says, this is too much to hear at once. Yeah, we're going to do a separate video. And I skipped a lot. Ms. Miles Bird of Prey, so much later in my life, when she found out she had terminal cancer, they doubled her chemotherapy meds by mistake, and she died from a cold. Fuck. Alexander Bird of Prey, here you had not spent a penny. But would I be walking? Hi, my Bird of Prey, there's a lot of issues with current insurance and the interference the government has already forced on them. I'm not sure a single solution is the solution to government creation. I'm not sure either, Life with Matthew. But I can tell you what, every doctor, every nurse, every EMT, everybody I have ever spoke with, and I've spoken with so many of them, whether they were white or black, male or female or Hispanic, whatever, Every single one of them. And these are people who live in New York City and Long Island, the bluest of the blue. They all said Obamacare fucked everything up. Okay? It was an African-American woman nurse, very nice woman, who I had as a nurse who was coming to the home just before the 2016 election, and she was voting for Trump because Trump was the only one saying that he'd get rid of Obamacare. Now, we got an even shittier version of Obamacare, but Obamacare made things far worse than they were. They were not good, but it made it worse. And every doctor and every person, even if they're New York City, they were all dead set against Obamacare. Take of that what you will. Not saying they all hated Obama, but they knew Obamacare was not the answer. Biomikes is vertebrae because hospitals need to turn profit as well. They're willing to hire unqualified doctors, nurses, give poor treatments to get people out of beds. But the thing is, here's the thing. I don't think this guy was unqualified. He was just a dick. He had been in the Marines. He had been a medic or whatever in the Marines before he became a doctor. Okay? He just didn't have he probably would be great at the VA, but I don't think he could deal with civilians. Alexander Vertebrae, you may not have more walking, but you receive better support and would still have your money. Thomas Butts is Vertebrae. Everyone knows I don't trust the U.S. government, but they want the government to run healthcare. Alexander's and Vertebrae, you don't need Obamacare, you need single payer. Sci-fi Vertebrae, Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act, saved my family's lives, even though it was relabeled Republican plan, formerly known as Romney Care. All Sci-fi Nation, if it saved your family members' lives, then hats off, and I'm very happy it did for you. I still can tell you, though, the doctors here and the nurses, and they were all against it. They were all against it. And to be honest, living through it, myself, hospital care went down the tubes. As bad as the hospital care was, it was better in 2010 and 2011 before the Affordable Care Act passed than it was in like 2012, 2013, 2014. Yes, we're doing more, dear Bach. Darren Wagner says Vertebrae were better off when we had no health care system. I would make all insurance illegal, make people pay. Then they couldn't charge as much. Alexander Vertebrae, doctors want to put money in their pockets, that's it. Biomike says Vertebrae, think of it this way, Congress has a single-payer health care plan, as does the U.S. military. When Ike was covered by military, it was great. Sci-Fi says Vertebrae, single-payer would still be an unimaginable improvement over our current system. You know, Mama Bray is yelling, not if it's Medicare, because Medicare kind of sucks. She'll do a Medicare story soon, because that's what I technically have now. Well, okay. So I have Medicare. I had a Medicare Advantage plan, and this year I switched to a Medicare Supplemental plan, which means that it's regular straight Medicare plus another company, like an insurance company, that supplements, so it picks up the 20% that straight Medicare doesn't cover. And one of the other things I had to do with this was get a wholly separate prescription drug plan. Well, my pharmacist has been trying to fill prescriptions now for several days, and he can't. He keeps saying it needs a group number, but there's no group number on my card. So I called my healthcare, I don't want to say it, but I called them to, find out what was good. First I went on their website, and it said that my number didn't exist. I couldn't register. It says you're not in our system. So I called them when they weren't open when I first called. I called back when they actually opened for the day. Because God forbid they had 24 hour. God forbid a pharmacy plan that, deals with people's lives would have 24-hour customer service. Right. It's not free. I'm paying for it. I'm paying a monthly fee for this. So I call them when they open, and the guy says, okay, yes, you are in our system, but our website still hasn't updated yet. It's going to take a few more days. Meanwhile, this plan became effective January 1st. I said, okay, well, my pharmacy needs a group number. They say it needs a group number to put in the prescription. So he gives me this long 10-digit group number. Now, I didn't know this, but apparently Mamo Pray and the pharmacist both know that group numbers are usually like 4 digits. But he tells me this is the group number, give it to the pharmacist. So I said, thank you. I hung up, and we gave it to the pharmacist, and the pharmacist says, A, that's not a group number, and B, it doesn't work. So this is now the 6th day I'm going without the medication, which is okay. We're going to try it again tomorrow. Hopefully their system updates. But yeah, this is a Medicare, and this is a prescription plan for Medicare. And even though we're 6 days in, and I had to pay starting January 1st, I'm still not in the system fully. I'm still not in the system. There's so much more. So I advise that I get where you're coming from, so I'll only say that Bernie's plan calls to fix what current's amiss with Medicare, so I won't leave the issues, so it won't have the issues when he implements single payer. Alexander says, Berta Pray, it's so complicated. When I'm sick, I go to the hospital with my single payer state card, and they just do the job. It costs me nothing, and I need to make a new card every 6 years. Well, that sounds good, but I've heard some bad things out of Canada, too. Dear Bob, is what Freddie said to Frankie on their first date. I don't know. That's fake news. There was no first date. Dear Bob, Greg here. The vintage game controller from Bob's sausage-shaped toy is stuck in the shoot position while the thing is still inserted, and he is in a convulsion-like state now. Rock Solid is not responding. Please help. Oh, you can't see the question. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let me check with the second. Thank you. The 2 people commented on not being able to see Dear Bob. So, Dear Bob, Greg here. The vintage game controller from Bob's sausage-shaped toy is stuck in the shoot position while that thing is still inserted, and he is in a convulsion-like state now. Rock Solid is not responding. Please help. Well, vintage game controller. He's convulsing. Here's the thing. If you care about the vintage game controller, then what you need to do is get a car jack and place it between the base of the game controller and the buttocks. And then just jack it out. Now, actually, you probably need 2 car jacks, 1 on each side, so that it goes out fairly straight. So you're going to need probably a second person so you guys can both jack from both sides. But if you don't care about the game controller, then just get like a gallon of Crisco corn oil or something, and just get it all up in there, and it should slide right out. It should slide right out. Alexander says, bird of prey, in the USA, you have no idea how you live in the dark age on that point. My prescription cost me 10 times less than in the USA, and I lose no time with all the paper problems you have. Yeah, but here's the deal, Alexander. The USA is paying for these pills for the rest of the world. Now, yeah, I would love to say let's get the prices down like they are in Canada. But if companies couldn't make any money on them, would they even be producing them? They produce these pills, they do the research on these pills because there is such big profit potential. I don't like it, but I understand. I understand that if you take away the profit potential, if you say you can only sell medicine for 20% more than it costs to make, or whatever, then nobody's going to be doing the research into making newer medicines. You say, well, the government can do the research. The government sucks at a lot of shit. The government could do the research, but they're never going to be as good as corporate people doing it. You got it, Mom? Dear Bob, please log into your Grindr account. We missed you. The Grindr. Okay, that's obviously fake email. That's not me. I don't have a Grindr account. Dear Bob, surrender now. Step down as leader of Kuroga. Never! Never! Never. Dear Bob, I have a video game addiction. I want to stop, but then I have to watch a Barbie movie. Should I keep playing or watch the Barbie movie? Well, that's an interesting conundrum. I would watch the Barbie movie and get it out of the way. If you made a commitment to watch the Barbie movie, watch it and get it out of the way. That's honestly, I do the things I want to do least first. At least I try to. And then I do the things I want to do. That's really the best way to go through life. It's hard, but I think it's best in the end. So, I don't know why you would have ever agreed to watch a Barbie movie, but apparently you did. So, just take it like a man, watch the Barbie movie, get through it, and then you can play all the games you want. Dear Bob, oh Jesus Christ. Okay, so they wrote out on the left, going down, Frank and Freddie. Finally, ready, and now Ken announce no difference. Freedom rockets, educate drone, decades inside every day. And that is, I guess, some type of Frank and Freddie poem. My advice is to keep your day job. I doubt you're a writer, but keep the day job. Dear Bob, do woodchucks actually chuck wood? Sincerely curious, in Columbus. Do woodchucks actually chuck wood? It's a good question. You know who's the best person to ask? Probably Alexa, but I'm not going to. We'll ask Google. Do woodchucks actually chuck? What the hell is chucking anyway? I mean, chucking is throwing. So according to Google, they do not chuck wood. What woodchucks do not chuck wood. They do chuck dirt. as they build underground burrows. So, that's very interesting. So woodchucks are more like T-Berg sci-fi fan in Space Engineers. That they're constantly digging underground. Interesting. So there you go. No on the woodchucking. Dear Bob, if this is even your real name. In accordance with copyright law, CBS, Viacom, and the owners of the Star Trek franchise, I hereby order you to immediately cease and desist any use of characters, names, ships, or elements from the Star Trek franchise. It is not from the Star Trek franchise. It is not that you are in violation of copyright. We simply do not wish to be associated with a dictator. Do the right thing, and went give Michael J. Crawford 6903 to shut him the hell up. You couldn't even write that incorrectly. Went give Michael J. Crawford 6903. No, you're gonna have to take these Star Trek graphics out of my cold dead hands. I will defend them. Dear Bob, hello, my friend Drago Prey. You looked so good last night. Will I see you at the corner Bell Boulevard and 56th Avenue tonight? I need your help getting into my high heels. You do it so easily. Anyway, see you later, girl. And a bunch of emojis, I guess, that I can't see. Love, Lorita. Oh my God. Oh my God. No, I don't know who Drag O'Prey is, but it's not me. You are mistaken, sir. You are mistaken. Or ma'am. Lorita. You are mistaken. You've got the wrong guy. Dear Bob, hey my friend. Oh, this is the same one. Okay, we'll delete it. I think the same one might have come in a couple of times. Okay, here we go. Dear Bob, why do you think so many neo-Nazis and white supremacists support Trump? I was recently accosted by a guy in a MAGA hat that was writing anti-Jewish and Mexican graffiti on the men's room wall. After reporting his actions to business management, I was forced to call the police after he got in my face for infringing on his freedom of speech, and he threatened to get his gun from his car and kill me. Police searched his car and did not find one. He was let off with a warning, but I cannot fathom a liberal or Democrat supporter doing the same. This is not the first time I have personally witnessed racism by Trump supporters. Do you feel that non-racist Trump supporters should do anything, such as no longer support him, or do you think all Trump supporters should stand together with racists? Yours truly, another damn liberal. Well, first off, another damn liberal. To say you've never heard of liberals doing the same thing? Well, what about Antifa? Antifa literally beats old men and old women and young people for daring to not even wear a MAGA hat, but just be in the general vicinity of someone wearing a MAGA hat. Okay? If they don't immediately denounce and join in with the Antifa mob, Antifa is out there injuring people. They destroyed a restaurant in Philadelphia because the manager allowed somebody on the right to eat there and didn't throw them out at Antifa's beck and call. So Antifa destroyed a business, a family business that's been in business for dozens of years. It's now destroyed because of Antifa. So there is no way you can tell me liberals don't do the same thing. Extreme liberals and extreme right conservatives are both you know, both on the wrong side of the law at times. And personally, I see it a lot more on the left than the right. But that's because I live in New York City. So 7/10 of the people out there are on the left. So I suppose it makes sense that I see the most of the people committing violence are lefties, because most of the people out there are lefties in New York. But I dare say it is almost exclusively lefties, even beyond the 7-10 split, the 7-3 split that it is in New York City. But I don't support anyone doing racist comments. If they were making graffiti, first off, if they were making graffiti in a business, I would be against them regardless of what the graffiti said, because I'm against graffiti, period. Okay, so if they were graffitiing a business, I would have told the management either way, whether they were saying a pro-Trump or an anti-Trump or a pro-Jewish or an anti-Jewish or a pro-Mexican or an anti-Mexican statement, I would have told the management. It wouldn't have continged upon what they were saying. The mere fact they were doing graffiti would have caused me to report it. But if they had honestly put in negative stuff about a race in front of me, you damn well I would have confronted them. I almost punched a guy at one of my friends. Unfortunately, one of my friend's fathers passed away in 9/11. And a year or so later, maybe it was 6 months later, I don't remember exactly, but they had named the street after that he had lived on. They had renamed the street to his particular last name. So we were all there at the street dedication ceremony, me, my friend, my whole group of friends, and one of my friends from the group is Indian, so he's brown. And one of the guys, who I don't know, he was just a random white dude, and we were all standing around in a group because we're all friends, and he comes up to my Indian friend, who he doesn't know if he's Indian or Muslim or whatever, and he was not a Muslim Indian. He's doesn't matter what, but he's not Muslim Indian. Not that it matters even if he was, but he goes up to my friend and he says, I don't know if I feel safe with you here, or something like that. And he almost caught a punch. But other friends got in the way. So it was almost a story I would ruined a street dedication ceremony, though I would have said it was for the right reasons. So yes, I would never approve of people saying those things. However, it is not Donald Trump's fault that there's an asshole racist putting comments on a wall. The asshole racists existed before Donald Trump took office. They existed before Obama took office. They existed before Bush took office. They existed before Clinton took office. They existed before probably George Washington took office. Okay? Just because they seem to support a guy doesn't mean that everybody is wrong for supporting that guy. Okay, a lot of criminals supported Barack Obama. Does that mean that everybody should not have supported Barack Obama because you could find a bunch of criminals who supported Barack Obama? No, that's absolutely stupid. Nobody would even make that case. So why would you make the case that people should stop supporting Donald Trump because there are some criminals who support Donald Trump? It's a ridiculous case to make. It's an absurd case to make. It's barely worth even commenting about. So no, just because some criminals support Donald Trump, does that change anything? Or do I think we should do it? No, we shouldn't do anything about it. we should do what we'd always do. We should, if we were going to, I don't, just because somebody supports Trump doesn't let them off the hook being a racist to me. Whether they support Trump or not, if you wrote racist shit, yeah, you're going to have a problem with me. If I can physically do something about it, I will. When I could walk, I could do a hell of a lot more than I could do right now. But does it bother me? Yeah, it bothers me when I see anybody doing shit like that. But I don't blame Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't do this. Donald Trump denounces this shit, but the media says he doesn't. But he does every time. He does every time. Anyway. You can't fathom a liberal. Well, it happens all the fucking time. It happens all the freaking time. Okay? What about the guy who took and spit on a little teenage kid? He took a MAGA hat off of a teenager in Texas who was just wearing a MAGA hat. A guy comes into, I don't know if it was a Subway or a McDonald's, and he spits on the kid. He throws his drink on the kid, and he steals the kid's hat. And they record the whole thing. That was an assault. That was a liberal who did it. Okay? I don't ever seen video of a Trump supporter going up to a liberal wearing a Hillary hat, is trying to eat in peace at a restaurant and making attacking her and her friends for her wearing a Hillary hat or whatever, a Bernie hat. Now it's 2020. I've never seen video of that happening, but I've seen video of people going up to Trump supporters wearing Trump hats doing those types of things. Does it happen? I'm sure it does. I haven't seen the video. Yeah, I opened a can of worms. Violent Mike says, I was asked to leave a Hobby Lobby for wearing a Bernie shirt. Well, personally, if I was asked to leave a business for wearing a political shirt, I'd say goodbye and I would never ever visit that business again. And I might start putting notes out and tweeting people about how shitty that business was. That they are doing so good, they don't need people like me who support my candidate. I would make sure everybody knows that they are not welcome at that business. That's what I would do. I wouldn't sue them. I wouldn't go back to them. I would let everybody effing know they're doing so much business. They don't need Bernie supporters. They don't need whatever. Okay? That's what I would do. Alexander says, Bird of Prey, one of the criminals supporting Donald Trump is Donald Trump himself. Oh, okay. I wasn't going to get into this, but so German Trekkie and I are friends. We're YouTube friends, okay? I go to his streams. He comes to my streams sometimes. I follow him. He follows me. We don't usually talk politics. But the other day, and this wasn't by choice, I opened Twitter, and Twitter shows you the tweets of the people you follow, and German Trekkie had tweeted to Donald Trump and said, because Donald Trump had said something about, him killing the Iranian terrorist. And German Trekkie had tweeted to Donald Trump, he says, you are the biggest terrorist in the world. Something to that effect. So I was debating. I was like, do I really want to? Do I really want to get into it with this? And I was like, fine. You know what? I have to call him out. I was like, listen, German Trekkie. I was like, you're entitled to your opinion if you like the guy, you don't like the guy. I know a lot of people don't like Donald Trump. I was like, but do you honestly believe he's the biggest terrorist in the world? I mean, you're saying that you would rather live under the whoever the head of Iran is than Donald Trump? You would be more afraid for your life living in the United States than Iran? And of course he couldn't admit that. And he just admitted, no, he's like, he says he just said it for, I forget what he said, for effect or for dramatic purposes. I was like, fine, I understand. I was like, but you understand when you say things like that, you shut down. He said, oh, I only said that for dramatic effect. I really want people to talk about these things. And you know, so people would talk. I was like, I understand that. And but if you're going to say something so ridiculous that he is the biggest terrorist in the world, then you're not promoting conversation. You're shutting down conversation. I mean, I almost skipped it. I almost said that this guy was beyond reason and didn't bother saying anything to him. I was just going to write him off as a kook. And I'm glad I didn't, because, then that next day we went to each other's streams and we said hi and everything was fine. I don't have a problem being friendly with a person who has a different political opinion of me. But people say these most ridiculous things like, he's the biggest terrorist in the world. Like, what the are you talking about? No, he's not. Okay? Donald Trump, I hate to tell you, Donald Trump is a moderate president. He is the moderate president everybody wanted 15 years ago. Okay? He's saying things that Democrats were saying 10 years ago. He's saying things Republicans were saying 5, 10 years, 15 years ago. 10, 15 years ago, all the Democrats wanted to build a fence, a border fence, a bigger fence. Okay, so he calls it a wall. All of a sudden, oh shit, no, we can't build a wall. No. Donald Trump is a moderate. He's a moderate who hijacked the Republican Party. I did not think it was ever possible for a New York moderate to ever win the Republican nomination. I didn't think it was possible at all. But you know what? He did it. He did it. Violent Mike, he gave a negative Yelp review and it was removed for being controversial. I would give it again. I would give it again and again. Change your words up, whatever you have to do, but I would keep doing it. Thomas Spots is Bird of Prey. I have to go to work. See you all on Anti-Trekker stream. Take care, Thomas. Alexander said, Bird of Prey, Iran is a dictatorship, but Trump provokes Iran to divert national conflicts in the USA. It's an old trick used for foreign policy to hide his downfall on the national level. Alexander, the only problem is that there's really no downfall. He was possibly impeached, although Nancy Pelosi isn't even submitting the impeachment to the Senate. So there's debate as to whether he was impeached. And frankly, his approval rating is as high as it's ever been. At least it was before this whole thing with Iran. I haven't looked since. So he was at his highest approval rating yet. He had nothing to there was no reason for him to make something out of something to deflect. Everything was coming up Trump. Everything was coming up Trump. Vile Mike said Trump is a whiny biatch boy that makes fun of little girls because his ego got bruised. Yeah, a lot like what's his face who plays him on Saturday Night Live, Alec Baldwin. You remember that? You remember that voicemail Alec Baldwin left for his own daughter? Called her a piggy, little piggy. Not in a good way, not like a cute little piggy. Mr. Miles says, Bird of Prey, I'm a liberal and I don't think Trump is some insane, horrible POTUS. I like him, but he's not any worse than most any other. I don't like him, but he's not any worse than most any other POTUS. And Mr. Miles, that's a very rational and sane position to have. Wesley says, Bird of Prey, why'd you get into politics? Look what happened. Well, it just happened. So for this dear bop, another damn liberal, with respect, sir, or madam, or invited transgender species, as they say in Nemesis. I just believe you are wrong and you are seeing what you want to see. Dear Bach, There is this evil dictator I know who owes me 6903, but he won't pay up. Should I kill him, Rico? Yeah, you should try. You should probably try. Try it. I bet his dog bites your ass before you get anywhere close to him. Oh, and the mother too. The mother's been wanting to attack somebody for a while. Just give us the reason. Dear Bob, I'm having trouble with my pain. My legs are sore. I can barely walk. My back hurts all the time. Someone said it was because I'm always running around Kuroga with a rocket launcher on my back. But I just love killing evil Kurogans. What should I do, Rico? Mama Prey suggests using a wheelchair. I would say get, I've heard good things about lemon. Slices of lemon. You have to lay on your belly, and you have to have someone put slices of lemon on a grid pattern up and down your back. Lemon should be approximately 2 to 2.5 inches in diameter, with approximately 4.5 inches between centers of the lemon. Try to get as many as you can up and down the back. Now, don't use the tips of the lemon. They get too small. So it might take you 20 lemons to get all the pieces you need, because you can only use center of the lemon pieces with the higher diameters. But put them up, and then you need to lay on your belly for about 12 hours to let the lemon juices sink into your back. Then turn over, and the lemons will kind of squeeze, although they'll be pretty dry. That'll get the last of the juices out. And then sit up, and you'll be good as new. You'll be good as new. That's something I learned from a native Kurogan. Old native Kurogan. Sorry. And now, it is true that the native Kurogans would sometimes eat the early settlers, so it's possible that was really just a seasoning recipe. So I'm not sure. Dear Bob, I sent 2 emails earlier. One said you suck, and the other said is what Frankie said to Freddie. It was supposed to be a joke. Oh. It was supposed to be a joke. Like, one email got split in 2. Instead, it just came off like a rude a-hole and a weird random comment. My bad. You don't suck. You rock. Also, Frankie loved Freddie. Well, thank you for pointing it out. And thank you for the compliment, but Frankie did not love Freddie. Dear Bob, I have a friend that told me that Frank and Freddie were married, but I can't find anything on it, so I've come to the biggest Frank fanboy to find out. Birdo Prey 6. Oh, it's not true. It's not true, Birdo Prey 6. They were never married. That's total fake news. Turdistani fake news. Dear Bob, I'm called a racist just because I feel that Trump is slightly better than the liberal mob called the Democratic Party. I just want to see what the economy and the job market. I just want to see the economy and the job market grow. Does a red hat make you a racist? Does wanting your government to give you some of the power back to the people make you a racist? Thank you, Bob. A conservative. No, wearing a red hat does not make you a racist. Wanting the government to give some of its power back does not make you a racist. So you're in good company. If that's all you really want, then that is fine. You're good. Now, I can't speak to your other traits, obviously. This isn't saying that you're not a racist. I can only say that those things don't make you a racist. Dear Bob, stop dragging this along. Anti-Tracker is waiting for you to finish so he can start his live stream. Oh shit, we are. Yeah, he was streaming all day. Due to you delaying him and costing him his revenue super chat. So now you owe him exactly $69.03. Lawyer to a poop. Okay, well, if I collect $69.03 in super chats in the next 5 minutes, then I will consider sending some of that money to Anti-Tracker. Dear Bob, is Goofy a dog or a cow? Neither. Goofy is a chupacabra. It's true. No, it's legit. Walt Disney wrote that in his diary. That Goofy was based on the chupacabra. His diary was, of course, seized by the government, so you can't read it, but trust me, it's there. Dear Bob, Apple or Android? Android all the way. Android all the way. Dear Bob, have you ever asked Alexa why she's... No, why she's Google's biatch? No, and I don't think she would answer. A shuttle? You mean a rocket? Mama Praise thinks there's a rocket going up at 8 p.m. No, I have not, and I'm not going to. Wesley Crusher with a $10 super chat to the best YouTuber ever, number 15, please. What's number 15?
Scotty, beam me up.
Let's see. What, just out of curiosity, what is number 15? Maybe I can do my own rendition of number 15. Antitracker.com, general discussion, known super chats by number. Lore makes YouTube go. I make YouTube go. Wes, what do you think? What do you think? No, bunny dancing is 15. It's lore makes YouTube go. See, people trying to get me. But I can do that. You know what? I can do the bunny dance. This is as close as we get to number 15. This is as close as we get to number 15. Okay, 9:19 tonight is the rocket going up. Okay. And that, guys, was DJ Odyssey, the odd one. Check out DJ Odyssey when you can. He does live streams and he does video commentaries on various things, including politics, which, if you're still here, you might be interested in. Okay. Just a couple more things I want to get to, and then we'll call it a stream. We will call it a stream. Wesley says, Bird of Prey, you don't even know the lines. I'm Lore Reloaded. I have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel makes my YouTube channel is Lore Reloaded. Well, I couldn't do it exactly. Then Data laughs at him. Well, Wes, I can see you are clearly a bigger fan than I am. Mr. Miles says, Bird Prey, why don't the Borg use darts? Projectile Borg assimilation tubes. That would be pretty cool. They should have. They should have projectile, like almost like a bee, where it stings you and it injects nanites. They should make Borg bees. Borg bees would take over. It would take over. Alexander says, Bird, you should read the last email. Sci-Fi says, Vertebrae, DJ asked about the unicorn head. I texted him today. Wow. Last email, Alexander, you mean that I got one more? Is there one more Dear Bop? Is that what you're saying? Let me see. Let me see what's going on. Yes, indeed there is. Indeed there is. There's two. Wow. So, okay, well, I can't bring this up because then everybody would see Alexander's email address. So Alexander did not use the Dear Bop form. Alexander just emailed dearbop@birdoprey5.com, which I never even told anybody was the email address, but props, Alexander. I guess you saw it in the thing. I don't want to put this up because I don't know if you want. Actually, okay, it doesn't show. It doesn't show your email address, so I can put up the Dear Bop screen, and we can finish the two. So I guess we're not going to get to my news stories. Dear Bop, one of my friends lived in a hospital bed, and he was receiving many phone calls from she-males every day. He's really shy about it, but we know the fact even if he denies. How could we help him to accept the fact that he receives phone calls from she-males? Have a great day, Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
And Anti-Guy donated $1 and said, what is it? I am Bird. I have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is BirdoPrey5. I make YouTube go. Thank you, Anti-Guy, for the $1 and the kissing Dax. But for Alexander, I don't think you have a friend who gets a lot of calls from she-males. I don't. Because it would be very weird for a random person to be getting a lot of calls from she-males, because there's just not a lot of she-males, in the general population. Now, if this person was like a figurehead to she-males or something, then yeah, maybe they were the she-male help hotline, and they get a lot of calls from she-males. That's possible. But if somebody was in that position, they likely wouldn't be denying that they get those types of calls. So if there's somebody honestly and earnestly denying they get calls from she-males, my guess is they don't get many calls, if any, from she-males. Now, could there have been one or two? Sure, because most people don't ask, hey, are you a she-male? So you never know for sure. But I dare to say it's a good bet they certainly wouldn't get many calls from she-males. Oh, son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Okay, guys, there's 3 left, and this is where we're stopping. I'm not doing any more above the Dear Bop today at 1929. Once I'm done with this, we're ending, and Surf Trictronic Society email me directly too. Dear Bop, at J25, why wouldn't the Enterprise just keep firing when the Borg ship was damaged? They were attacking force. Blow those bastards to hell. That was plot. That was all plot. Why didn't Q put them in the direct path of the Borg to begin with? Why did he leave it to chance? Why did he even give Picard the opportunity to leave? He should have just put them right in front of the Borg and let them appear out of nowhere in front of the Borg so that this all could have happened regardless. but they needed to fill out 5 minutes of the movie of the TV show, so they let Picard talk to Guinan before the encounter, just for plot, unfortunately. But yes, they should have fired everything. Should have been a fire at will comment, and just fire maximum everything at the Borg cube. And then they should have left as soon as it was destroyed. Okay. Surge Electronics says, Dear Bob, Cleveland Browns will win the World Series and score a bunch of baskets. Surf, I will grant you I'm not the biggest sports fan, but last I checked, there's no baskets to be scored in the World Series. You get field goals, and what are those? Home runs? Well, those are just if you get lucky. Runs. You get runs. You get the runs when you play baseball, I think. That's how they say it. But I don't even know who's in the World Series. Is the World Series even set? Alexa! It's ended. It's over. Oh, right. We're in... What? Cancel! Alexa, cancel! It's football season, and we haven't decided the Super Bowl yet. We're still in the playoffs. We don't know who's going to the Super Bowl. God damn it. Dear Bob, why do you deny I call you every day? She-Bell. You don't. You don't call me every day. And even if you are a she-Bell, which I don't believe you are, you do not call me every day. Although you could be one of the people that the system just hangs up on automatically. Dear Bob, oh God, for fuck's sake. I am part of a she-Bell club and we call you every day. Why are you saying we do not call you the she-Mail club? Well, if you do call me every day, then I respectfully ask you to stop calling me every day. Because clearly we don't talk about anything important, and you're probably just one of those people who call while I'm trying to stream, and then you annoy me, and I say hello and nobody answers and I hang up. So if that's you calling, not answering, then please stop calling. Okay, guys. I think this stream is done. I wonder how many more subscribers I lost today. Guys, take care. I will see you on Anti-Tracker's stream. I assume sooner than later. Thank you guys all for coming here to watch. Tomorrow, I will try to do a City Skyline stream. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll try to do one. I'm way behind on my own videos. Anyway, remember to please comment, like, subscribe, share. And if you're looking for my old live streams, they will be in the live and unlisted playlist on YouTube. They're not going to show up on YouTube as recommended videos, but if you go to my channel under playlist, the live and unlisted playlist will have all my old live streams. Alexander's is bird of prey if she mails, say it. Take care all. That's Sisso Prey. Qapla. Good night. Thank you all for watching my video. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon. Without it, you won't get notifications of new videos. Check out BirdOPrey5.com, the new home of everything BirdOPrey5 on the web. You can also check out my forum at juot.net. I'm also on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Gab. If you'd like to make a donation, check out paypal.me/BirdOPrey5 or on birdopray5.com. Take care.